This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Brandon Andrus Green.
Podcast live. Are you in need of a custom concrete surface that feels like ordinary construction, less like ordinary construction and more like one of a kind work of art? Well, one may be closer than you think. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing your good neighbor, David Council. David creates custom artisan marbleized concrete surfaces, floors, patios, planters, countertops, whatever you need. Hey, David, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you doing, Brandon?
Doing so well. I'm excited for this one. As you know, I've always been personally a huge fan of your work. Concrete is usually something that, people are just walking on, building with, ignoring. But what you do, it seems to feel more like, like a drawing, a painting, maybe sculpture, all meeting in the same material. David, tell us about your marbleized concrete work and the kind of projects you create.
It's all over the place. Right now, I've got a few projects going, but one of them's a floor, and I have to resurface the floor. This lady ran into a couple problems because she has a moisture problem in her house, and so the flooring that she had before got ruined by this efflorescence or just calcium seeping through the concrete with the moisture. So we have to resurface the concrete, and that gave her a lot more options for the overall look. So this application is it's a micro topping cement that's like maybe 1/8 of an inch thick. It goes down in like 3 layers. The final layer is super smooth. And you get a lot of options for the way that you can color something like that. So in this particular case, I'm going to put down 3 different colors at once and kind of trowel them into each other, and just go for different organic effects with the color.
Well, how did you first get into working with concrete this way?
I took a job at Ramcrete in Owasso with a guy named Matt Shields. And at the time, he was a distributor for a company called Color Makers. He took me to like the World of Concrete in Las Vegas to like see all the products and meet everybody at that company. And we learned a ton with those guys.
Well, for listeners who have never actually seen this marbleized concrete before, how would you describe what makes your technique different?
I feel like it's different no matter who does it. I got a buddy that I like to do floors with, and even with us working together for 20 years, when we do a floor, we just naturally end up with our own techniques on like a slightly different look. And so like if we're going across a whole floor, we have to switch spots so that it doesn't look like he went up one side and I went up the other. It's like we have to bounce back and forth because we can't really mimic each other's styles too much.
Well, can you describe kind of what this looks like for our listeners?
I think we need to call it marbleizing. That kind of captures it. It's just there's like a lot of natural veining and stuff that happens when you're working with wet colors while you're moving across a floor. And then 2, you go back and you put like translucent stains on it. So everything you do adds a transparent layer that at the end you can't really tell what direction it was put down. Like you don't see the trowel marks. You don't understand how the floor was put there. At least that's always the goal.
Yeah, one of the things that I love about it is that it literally makes concrete to me look like marble. I always thought it was really cool how you're able to do that. What are some of the myths or misconceptions people have about concrete as a design material?
Well, I think specifically like overlays, like this with like the marbleizing that we're talking about. Um, Overlays have a bad reputation because there's been a lot of bad products that have been put out there. A lot of companies, which I've ran into this, they changed their products where they got bought out and they make their they cheapen the ingredients like in the overlays so that they can like maximize their profits. And then you've had a lot of issues with like application. So overlays over the years have gotten a bad reputation for good reason. Um, but it is a myth that there aren't good overlays. There are some very good ones. It's just hard to find them.
Well, who would you say is your maybe ideal client, and what kind of spaces are they usually trying to have you transform?
Um, well, I like a client that gives me full trust, where they give me autonomy and they let me use, I don't know, go into a place and use my judgment, like kind of get a feel for their aesthetic, and then they just give me autonomy to complement it. But I also really like really particular clients that know exactly what they want, that um, will speak about it. Like they'll bring up their criticism like as I'm going, or they'll make suggestions. Like they're really good at communicating what they want to see. Um, it's probably my favorite client. Is the super particular one, the one that initially is extremely intimidating because they're hard to please, but you know that they're going to voice everything.
So, do you usually just work on like for this marbleized concrete? Is it mostly on like floors, patios, planters, countertops? What are the services that you're generally doing?
This one is mostly floors. I've done some countertops with it, and I've done some patios, but with a regular overlay, like you have different grades of overlay where, um, like with a coarse overlay, it's got bigger aggregate in it. It's kind of pitted. Um, that's better for an exterior application, but you don't want to do that on an interior application, um, because it's harder to clean. So for a while, I couldn't find a good micro topping, like smooth, super smooth surface, because they'd either gone out of business or they had cheapened their products. Um, I lost track of the question in my
Or
head.
how do you how do you decide what kind of movement, color, or even pattern belongs in these particular spaces?
um, well, at this customer's house right now, for one, she sent me pictures of tons of stuff that she liked. Um, and then she wanted a portfolio. So I sent her over a bunch of pictures, and she picks out the things that she likes about everything. Um, and then, I mean, you can tell it from just seeing somebody's aesthetic when you're in their house, like what kind of paintings they have up, um, like just the colors that are in the house. You generally get a pretty good feel for people's aesthetic from the way that they design their homes. Um, One client in particular, like one of my favorite ones, I was doing her front porch and trying to get a feel for what kind of things she liked. And she invited me into her house, and I sat in her living room, and she brought me her favorite piece of art. And it was this like stained glass piece that she had hanging above her table, and it was cut into all of these random squares and rectangles, and it had a diamond in the middle. It was a beautiful piece. Um, so we went out on her patio, and we started laying out a pattern. And she actually stayed out there with me. And like she initially, I'd made all these, I kind of mimicked it, but I made all these like random like squares and rectangles for tiles. And she wanted them elongated. Like she told me that they were too short, too fat, too masculine. She wanted everything like stretched out. And it actually ended up being like one of my favorite projects.
Wow.
But I like to talk with people quite a bit to try to figure out their aesthetic.
Well, you're also an incredible artist beyond concrete. How would you say your artistic background kind of shaped the way you work with this medium?
Well, I feel like concrete was one of the, I mean, I grew up drawing, but I never grew up painting. Like I'm just doing like black and white stuff. I didn't grow up with like very much training in art. And I started concrete before I took any art classes in college. So it was kind of, I mean, I approached, I was so excited about concrete when I got into decorative concrete because it was an artistic outlet.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as a medium goes, I learned concrete better. Like I was better at that medium than any other medium. And
Wow.
So when I did get into painting and when I did start taking art classes in college, I was bringing my concrete. I was doing pieces on concrete. I didn't like painting on canvas. I'd never painted on canvas before I took classes like at school. And I had already gotten used to working with a trowel. And so it's actually kind of a weird thing, the way that those interplay. I pulled concrete more into other artistic mediums than vice versa, I guess.
That's brilliant. So outside of work, what do you do for fun?
Art and kids. My whole life is kids. Whatever they want.
David, what's one thing you want listeners to remember about your marbleized concrete work?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I can say that it's truly unique. I haven't seen anything else like it. How can listeners learn more and or connect with you?
I don't have much. I've got social media and I've got email. I don't do website anymore. So, and I've just got, I put up jobs on my TikTok. That seems to get the most attention.
Well, David, I appreciate you being on the show. I wish you and your marbleized concrete work the best moving forward.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnptulsa.com. That's gnptulsa.com or call 918-301-6356.